Good afternoon. We are here and we are going to be meal prepping. My mom is here hanging out with my daughter and I'm going to get as much done as I possibly can. I've got a beef stew to make. I've got some roasted sweet potatoes to make, meatballs. I've got some overnight oats with some almond butter and fruit, a bunch of things going on. I want to make these for a friend who just had her baby a few weeks ago. And I feel like bringing a breakfast item along with a dinner item is always really nice. So I'll do the beef stew for them for dinner tonight, but if I can get the meatballs and the roasted sweet potatoes done, I'm going to pair that with some hummus for them. That will make for a really easy high protein lunch and it's just going to be great. So I am so excited to do this together. Part of my house is clean, part of my house is in disarray. I'm going to make a cup of tea and we're just going to get to it and see how much we can do in an hour. If I have time to do anything else, I'll add a few things onto that. But for now, that's what we're going to start with. But we're going to get started with the beef stew because that has to cook the longest. So we'll get that going on the stove top. So we're going to have a lot of really good stuff, but we have to hurry. I have to be dropping this meal off in like an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes. So I should stop talking and we should get all this cooked. I am so passionate about postpartum and prenatal nutrition. It is such a beautiful thing and such a miracle to be able to bring a child, a life into this world. And our bodies work really hard to do it. It's crazy. I just like the fact that a baby is in our womb and we grow that baby and the brain is formed and the bones and the eyes and little fingernails, all of it is still such a miracle to me. And when you think about all that work that goes into creating this baby and growing an organ and all of the other things that happen in your body, you can imagine that you need nutrient dense foods. You need a ton of extra nutrition for your body to be able to do those things. And it does make me kind of laugh a little bit because so many of us are so sick in the first trimester and you really can't eat much and you're just getting by. And I feel like that just shows how God is truly in control. I mean, you could survive on drinking milkshakes for 2.5 months and your baby turns out beautiful. But nonetheless, it's really amazing to be able to look at what our bodies need for nutrients and to be able to create and prepare foods that are full of those nutrients. And a big one for postpartum is going to be red meat, really good quality grass-fed red meat with tons of iron. It is so good for your body afterwards, especially that slow cooked meat. I've talked about it before. It's also delicious. A beef stew with some bone broth and fresh grown herbs. You just can't beat it in the postpartum season. A nice warm cup on the couch with your baby. It's perfect. So another thing I have been thinking about a lot is, especially as I'm making this postpartum meal for a friend who just had a baby, it's really reminding me freshly of my postpartum time period, which was not that long ago, and just how it can be such a huge transition for a new mother. We go from living our lives thinking about ourselves or thinking about our spouse or thinking about some of the other people in our lives. But when we become a mom, our brain chemistry completely changes. And all we're thinking about is how do we keep our baby safe? How do we care for our baby? Baby, baby, baby. So everything changes. And I think now that I'm over a year out from my postpartum period, I'm really realizing that I was so focused on my baby that I was not focusing on my identity in Christ and who I was in Christ. And it made my postpartum period a lot harder, mostly because I was not remembering that God was truly in control overall of this life that I held in my arms. And it was so difficult to really remember that this baby belongs to God, and I get to raise her and nourish her and love her and do all of these things with her for a while. But ultimately, God has a plan for her. And I was forgetting that. I was forgetting that I was a child of God, and I was forgetting that my baby was a child of God. And I just felt so like I was in control, and that caused so much anxiety. And so I've been lately trying to remember God is in control, and that He loves my baby more than I could ever imagine, and that I can trust Him with her. And that also allows me to give myself grace and forgiveness when I mess up as a mom. And this is so freeing for me. Okay, so back to food here. We have made our beef stew. It's cooking on the stove, even though the stove went off for a while, so I missed out on some time of that cooking, so I had to turn that back on, but it all worked out. It was delicious. And we got some sweet potatoes roasted in the oven, and now we're making our fresh milled spelt meatballs. I can confirm these were delicious. The new mom told me that she loved them. Just added some herbs in there, Italian herbs, onions, spelt, eggs, salt and pepper. It was super good. And now I'm making some overnight oats because for a new mom, you would just be surprised at how starving you are, especially if you're a nursing mom. And in the night, you're up a bunch and you might just be starving in the middle of the night. And I find that overnight oats are just the perfect midnight snack with a bunch of almond butter on top and some fresh fruit. So we're making that for this new mom. So if you want to learn more about postpartum or prenatal nutrition, I will go ahead and link some of my favorite books in the description below. I just love getting to make these baskets for new moms. I'm going to order some new items from Amazon to kind of package it a little bit neater and nicer, but we'll go ahead and make some more nourishing and budget-friendly meals next week, and I hope you feel the Lord's presence today.